The views expressed on this show, interview, or program are not necessarily the views expressed by the ZNS Radio Network and, by extension, the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
Good morning, good morning. Oh, the weather got me feeling like it's time to go back to sleep. It is January 28th, 2023, and you are in the E-Shack with Junkanoo 242. Good morning, everybody. You're tuned into the longest running cultural show in the Bahamas that talks everything culture, but especially highlighting Junkanoo. Good morning to all of our listeners and viewers who are on Facebook, especially those in our family of islands. Good morning to you guys. Arlene, how are you this morning?
Well, thanks. Good morning, Bahamas. Good morning, everybody. Chairman.
Morning. How you doing? Morning, Bahamas.
Morning. How's it going?
Oh, life is beautiful. We're here in the land of the living.
Amen.
And I'm still the only one who could brag for 2 straight.
We're bringing that up again.
Well, me and Chris them.
You and Chris them, yeah.
And on that note, good morning, Ronald. How are you doing, my brother?
I good, but I ain't paying you no mind this morning. But I good.
Ronald Shah, you have to wear him, as the old people say, like a loose garment.
and you know it, treat him as if he were here.
Yeah. So before it goes too far downhill, let us try to arrest that by beginning in the traditional Bahamian way, the way we always do. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, for the gift of life, we give you thanks. For our nation, we pray for peace, progress, prosperity, and principle, recovery, and restoration. And for ourselves, we pray for wisdom to use your gifts wisely, especially the gift of Junkanoo, so that we may honor you, serve your people, build better communities, a better Bahamas, and a better world. Amen.
Amen. Proud to be Bahamian. What do we got this morning, guys?
Give it to me straight.
Well, I don't know. I want to ask you something, right? That just came from in my head yesterday, so I can mess with Arlene tomorrow.
Oh Lord.
So there's this Bahamian saying, copycat caused Mr. Lightburn Monkey with cutting throat or something like that, right?
No, fall of fashion killed Mr. Lightburn Monkey.
So who was Mr. Lightburn and how did that happen? What happened? What is the story? What is this, the backstory to this?
This is the story I got from the most distinguished Reverend Father Dunstan Burroughs, who, God rest the dead, is no longer with us. Dunst was my Burton House captain in St. John's College.
He was in Burton?
Oh yeah, he was our house captain.
I was in Llewellyn.
Poor thing. And you all just win the sport.
That mean I win again.
And so I had the privilege of having Father Burroughs posted at St. John's when I was principal. And I cannot remember the details. I cannot remember how the conversation came up. But this expression, just like you say, fall of fashion killed Mr. Lightburn Monkey. And he explained to me that there was a Bahamian gentleman by the name of Mr. Lightburn. Of course, we used to say Mr. Lightburn. Mr. Lightburn, who had a pet monkey. And the monkey imitated everything that his master did, including shaving.
Oh, I see where this going.
I don't know if you remember, but in the old days, the men used to shave with a shaver that looked almost shaped like an L. Right, like an L, not these modern day disposable razors, right? It was shaped like an L, and Mr. Lightborn one morning was shaving, and the monkey decided to imitate his master, and he ended up slitting his throat.
Oh.
And so, Darren Farrington, please stop laughing. And so the expression grew up. Fall of fashion, kill Mr. Lightwood Monkey.
All right. See? Thank you very much for that. So,
perfectly logical. Most of these expressions are rooted in fact.
Right. And I think sometimes we just say them and not necessarily ask the question, where did it come from? What is the context of it, you know?
There you go. Well, I was very pleased that Father Burroughs was able to shed light for me. And so that's our official story, and we sticking to it.
Well, that's my proud to be Bahamian moment. Thank you very much, historian. You know, like you would say, we send you to school for nothing.
No, that's why we send you to school.
Yeah.
And Arlene, that thing you talked about that looked like an L, it was called a barber's razor.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ronald. So, yeah, he was shaving then with the barber's razor. Yeah. Okay. It don't pay to fall of fashion.
I'm still laughing at this story. That's our proud to be Bahamian moment. Stories like that, you know, they resonate with us. And like Bastian said, you hear various different things and passing traditions, statement, phrases. And when you dig up the roots of where they actually resonate, you start to see that they actually have a lot of meaning. A lot of people follow fashion and they don't realize they slit in their own throat trying to be somebody else or do something that's not, authentic to them.
There you go.
But
there you go.
We have a show that's lined up for you guys. We've been talking for the champions for the last 2 weeks, and this week we're gonna actually do a wrap up of last year's parades, and we have the JCNP in studio with us. But before we do that, we're gonna take a break, and when we get back, we're gonna officially introduce our show to you. We'll be right back.
What you hear on this radio station is governed by IRCA's Code of Practice for Content Regulation. The Code of Practice covers matters relating to program content that are of concern to the community, such as local content, news, current affairs, and programs for children, advertising, including political advertisements, and the responsibilities associated with broadcasting in the Bahamas. The code also covers aspects such as access services for the hearing and visually impaired, and the procedure for lodging a complaint about anything broadcast by this station. The code is available on the IRCA website at www.ircabahamas.bs. To receive a copy of the code by mail or in person, you may telephone IRCA at 242-393-0234. Family Island dialing is toll-free at 1-242-300-8722, or you may send a request by email to info@ircabahamas.bs.
Respect the sign. When vehicles without an accessible parking permit use a parking space designated for persons with disabilities, even for just a minute, that's 60 seconds too long. The abuse of accessible parking spaces is a daily frustration for persons with disabilities. It is inconsiderate, insensitive, and hinders persons with disabilities from effectively conducting business and actively participating in community life. Never park in a space reserved for people with disabilities unless you have a permit to do so. It is the right and respectful thing to do. This message is brought to you by the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities, a unit in the Ministry of Social Services and Community Development. For more information, visit www.disabilitiescommissionbahamas.org.
From the Junkanoo archives on the Junkanoo timeline, the year was 1982. From the year of independence in 1973, the Bahamas Ministry of Tourism had managed the annual Junkanoo parades on behalf of the government of the Bahamas. And in 1982, responsibility for the management of the parades was transferred from Ministry of Tourism to the Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Community Affairs. Today, the ministry, through the Advisory National Junkanoo Committee, is responsible for the management of all Family Island parades and the Junior Junkanoo Parade in New Providence. In New Providence, the Junkanoo Corporation New Providence Limited manages the Boxing Day and New Year's Day parades, and the Junkanoo Development Association manages the Independence People's Love and Unity Rush. Another exciting moment on the Junkanoo timeline.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You listen to Junkanoo 242, and the E-Shack is wide open this morning. It's definitely a pleasure to have you in our company. Arlene, I think you were saying something.
No. You go right ahead, Chairman. Don't let me interrupt your beautiful comeback.
So, Darren, who do we have in the E-Shack this morning, man? Who are we talking to today?
Listen, right in the Junkanoo archives, we was going through who manages what and who in control of what. So we thought that we would bring in the people who are in control of the last two parades in New Providence, which is the Junkanoo Corporation, New Providence Limited. The chairman himself, Mr. Dion Miller, is in studio with us. Good morning, Dion.
Morning, everybody. Good morning, brother Darren. Good morning, Darren.
Morning.
Arlene. And good morning, Bahamas. Good morning, Junkanoos.
Morning, Chairman. Morning. Good to have you here, man. You still standing? You alive? Are you kicking?
Boy, I alive. I know how much I kicking.
I would know if he's I would know if he's still in the undisclosed location or if he's still on the run. I don't know.
Dodging bullets.
No, as of Wednesday evening, I can now start disclosing my location.
Now, this is Wednesday pass or Wednesday coming?
Wednesday pass.
What happened Wednesday pass?
The groups received their prize funds.
What? The plane land? What?
The plane land.
The plane land in January.
No,
January.
Since Wednesday, the phone stopped ringing just a tad little bit less.
So, Chairman, in terms of recent years, we are approaching the end of January. Is it customary to have these things wrapped up by the end of January?
For the most part, yes. Typically by February, we would have completed the prize package exercise. We are a bit early this year because we had a number of firsts with these parades. We were able to get the results out very fast this year. And with the incorporation of having a live adjudication on parades, there were no IRC hearings, which typically happens at the ending part of January. So typically in years past, around this time of the calendar is when the parades will just become final. But we were able to advance this year, and so we're ahead of the curve this year, which is a very good thing for us.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So Chairman, let's take it from the beginning, because that point you made about the adjudication on the spot. Of course, we have to talk about that, but let's take it from the beginning so we don't miss any of the high points. First of all, if you, based on your perspective now, had to describe the season in one word or a sentence, what would you say? Give me an overall summary of the season in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, I think the season was very challenging. The end result, however, was excellent. I'm of the view that we had two excellent parades. I'm very pleased with the results of the parades, with all of the different operations of the parades, such as the PMT and that whole team. I'm very pleased on how they perform. But in general, from conception of the year, it's been very challenging. As you would recall, we just got the green light to go ahead in regards to parading in June, which is late from us. The JCNP and the Junkanoo season starts as early as April. And so we were behind the ball from Jump Street. We made a determination as groups. That changed, that the early determination changed. And so we have been dealing with a number of challenges as we returned back to Bay Street. So it was challenging, but those end results of the parades was very gratifying and very, it was excellent in regards to the parades. But it was a very challenging year for all of us as Junkanoos.
Excellent. Now, before the fellas jump in, let me ask this one question before we get to the parades proper. Let me start with the number draw. This year, the number draw was held at Fort Charlotte. Is that something that's going to continue or not?
I'm not sure, Alan. The reason why we were on top of the fort this year was not of our own liking. You know, our Waukee Fish Fry area is the traditional home for the number picking, but there was a double booking on the date of Nervous Saturday, and I felt that it was very important that we keep Nervous Saturday for that purpose. So we were offered to go the following week, but that would not be Nervous Saturday, and so we had to find an alternative venue. And so all likelihood, to keep tradition, we may be right back where we our traditional spot on the fish fry. So this year was, like I said, a lot of challenges, and that was one of the challenges. At the last moment, we got word from Monuments that they double booked and several, not with just one venue, because if it's one event out there, we gotta come to some kind of compromise. But they had a number of events scheduled for the same time on the fish fry, and so we had to find an alternative location.
And so between us fellas, have you already booked for the first Saturday in December of 2023?
Oh, from when we got the news and our discussions with the powers that be, we informed them that hey, that's our spot, and that's what we do. So we've already had those conversations with Levan Miller, who has responsibility for the Waukee Fish Fry area now. So we've already had that conversation with him, and so we don't anticipate that we'll run into that roadblock again.
Okay, excellent. I think that's important for a lot of people. Very much so. Excellent, excellent. Okay, fellas, jump right in. I got other questions, but jump right in. Let's get it sorted out.
One of the concerns was going into the parades was the level of competition in terms of costuming and what we saw on the parades. How would you rate the last two parades in terms of that level of artwork and artistry, as well as fringing and pasting when it comes to the last two parades?
Honestly, I would have, if you're looking at a scale of 10, I would give it a 4. I was very displeased with the level of pasting. In general, the quality of costuming that I saw on display. I knew it would have not been at peak or to quite to par would be used to because of the restart and the funding and the finances and all of that. But I was very I was not pleased with the level of craftsmanship typically experienced, in particular with the choreographs section. I'm not talking about any particular group, but in general, saw a lot of cloth, and that's something that I think we need to address at the administrative level going forward. But I was not overly impressed with any particular group or the level of costuming that was in these past parades, and that's my honest reply to your question, Dia.
No problem.
Now, Chairman, is that the position of the JCNP? I guess what I'm asking is, does the JCNP, by definition, have any interest in, or maybe responsibility for, might be a better way to put it, preserving the traditions of Junkanoo?
Yeah, well, all of us Junkanoo have a shared responsibility to that preservation. The JCNP has an ultimate responsibility as the administrator of those parades to set the criteria of those parades in regards to our rules and everything that govern the parades. So I think we have to look at that and different elements of the parade as it relates to costuming to really preserve and enhance that. I know that there's this spirit of easy Junkanoo now, right? I got to get out. And we have to defend against that at all costs to ensure that we get back to our tradition. Nothing beats that the feel, the texture, the look of crepe paper. And there was too much cloth on the parade routes this year, and I believe that due to that, we are forced to take severe action to combat that.
Now, when you say we are forced, excuse me, to take severe action, the thing is, the decisions are made by the group representatives. You might as well say by the groups. And so if the groups decide they want to keep it as what we call a quick get out, what I don't think the JCNP is the groups.
Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head, Arlene. The JCNP is the groups, and so I've already started the process of appealing to the various groups, expressing my feelings, and to their credit, a lot of the leaders and the groups feel the same way as well. We're all Junkanoos. We all see, and we all know Junkanoo. And so I think there's a general consensus of that. Hey, there is too much elements of cloth in the parade, and that we need to do more to preserve that. And so, this time is the time when we normally have the quote unquote unity. So I'm just hoping that we keep that stance and that we come together and we all sit down and think about not just what benefits us today, but what could preserve and benefits this thing called Junkanoo for our kids and our grandkids and for generations to come.
Okay, cool. Shifting gears just a bit, one of the concerns for a lot of participants as well as spectators when it came to the parades is the amount of vests that we see lining the parade's route. Some blocking the views of people, some actually getting in the way of participants. How do we go about, or what is the action from the JCNP to actually, get some of those vests off the parade route?
So I think for us, we need a recalibration and discussion around the amount of vests that each group requires. We know for years there's been systemic abuse of that process in regards to the quantities. I see the vests now being used as a token system for groups and various persons to be rewarded for assisting the group in the shock or whatever the situation may be. But the essence or the whole idea or concept around the marshal vest is that they're for marshaling people who assist the groups, the various groups with their parade, keeping the group organized, structure, etc. But I think there's too much vest on the parade, and we have to look at decreasing the amount of marshals, quote unquote marshals, that are allotted to each groups. And so that's the one aspect of it the JCNP can control. But in general, the JCNP does not control the vests. And so the government issues those credentials. And so to be transparent, I can't even tell you how many number of vests outside of what the amount per group could receive. I don't know what that total overall number of vests is. I know we have had discussions in the past of changing the credential system to lanyards and identification as opposed to the big colorful vests. But in all things, everything is a cost and expense. So I think early on, one of our agenda items is we have to sit down as an organization and really discuss what we want to do. because if I look at different festivals and different parades, you don't see it. One of the most famous parades is the Disney parade. You don't see the parade marshals all through the groups and everywhere. You see one or two of them walking behind the group on the sidelines. And so I think we need to look at a system to assist. Now the groups can say, well, the marshals help with costumes that break down and this and that and that. So the question will be now, can that happen on the rest zone, at the rest zones, where marshals
Chairman,
won't necessarily
if I chime in,
on the parade?
I understand the stance of the marshals, but what a lot of people are talking about is a lot of people who are not attached to groups. We're talking about photographers, journal people who are. If you watch the playback, a lot of the things we see photographers and people in the lines, in the way of the choreographers, the choreography section, in the lines of the back line, and they're causing a problem. All right, specifically if you talk for Rawson Square. And you're looking at any one of the TV stations, a lot of them have to switch camera angles because their camera angle is bombarded by the 5 or 6 people who are running up to people who are blocking the footage, and they're causing a problem.
Yeah, correct. And I share the same sentiments, Darren. And so we have to work with our partners in government on not only the amount of credentials that are issued to the press and to the groups, but as staging areas. Then there probably needs to be an area dedicated for media where they could be off the path, off the parade route, and they can take their photos and still put their work in while not impacting the groups and their performance.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just getting ready to say one possible solution is elevated stations for the press and the media, because them being actually in the parade is not working. It's not working, and it's really diluting, the power and the quality of the presentations. And so I think that I agree. I think that needs to have some serious attention as you begin to plan for the new year.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Chairman, tell us about gaps. Now, we are in the parade, so I'm not saying that there were gaps, but tell me about the pacing of the parade. Was there an issue with gaps this year?
No, for the most part, there weren't any issues with gaps. Save face for Boxing Day when we had a slight interruption due to the rain. Boxing Day, the rain came down, the water came down, which cost about a 30 to 45 minute halt between groups parading. I think routes would have been parading at the time that the rain, a good squall came down. A lot of persons took their costumes to protect it. A lot of persons ran off the bleachers, and so we had a slight delay for 45 minutes. What persons don't understand is in those cases, there are SOP, standard operating procedures, that have to take place before parading can resume, and so all of the groups have to be reassembled in a designated area to give an assessment of what damage or possible damage would have been done to their group and their presentation due to rain. And so we have to get that consensus on do we parade and us whatever other mechanisms that be used to before we can start parading. So that was done. That took about 50 and 20 minutes. The group leaders came to the determination that we should continue. The parade goes on, and then the parade commences. But for the most part, I was very pleased with the pace of the parade. I think the Grand Marshal on both sides of the street, Shirley Street, Mr. Vincent, and on Boxing Day, Dwight Road, I think they did an excellent job of keeping the parade tight and moving as best as possible. And so I commend Mr. Anton Mortimer, the PMT chair, Floyd Wilmore, the deputy PMT chair, and their team for doing an excellent job. I think, Arlene, this was a good parade. There weren't many hiccups, and I was very pleased with their performance this year.
Somebody asked me this week, I thought it was a fascinating question. Somebody asked me why the Junkanoo groups take so long to line up, like to organize themselves to get on the parade route. I can tell you what I said. What would your answer be?
That's one of the most stressful and most greatest period of the parade is the lineup. and it's very one of the most funniest portions of our parade as well too. Um, but I think what the public does not understand is you have 300 plus or whatever 300 odd persons wearing various types of costumes, styles of costume, sizes of costume that those grand marshals or group marshals and leader have to put in sequence based on their presentation of their synopsis. And so it's challenging. Another element of it is we as Bahamians are not the best when it comes with time. And so you may have the one or two running on to catch to try get the line before they have to run in the back. But it is a weird and fascinating occurrence that I think all of our groups struggle with. And I look at it as a part of Junkanoo watching the lineup, and it's one of the most as a former Grand Marshal myself, it's one of the most stressful things that you could be a part of the parade, because at times you have to break some hearts as well. Everyone want to be in that prime location right there where Darren Bastian is be in front of the brass, showboating and getting that exposure. And so when they can't get that, then they mad, they kiss their teeth, they mad, they run, they hide, they duck and dodge.
They swell up.
And so I say it's and that aspect of the parade and of the group and whole process is together. But it takes time, and we understand that. I think groups in their organize as they organize themselves need to really come up with ways in which they could do that more in a more proficient manner. But that, like I said, that is going to take 300-400 persons working in unity and working in sequence, which is difficult, difficult feat for anyone to master. But as in terms of the administrative of it, groups are given advance notice when they will be scheduled to come out. The Grand Marshal gives them a warning. They have warning before they go on the clock and all of it. So it just is the matter of a group, as individual groups organizing themselves better to move us in a unit and to get started.
Folks, you're tuning into Junkanoo 242. We're doing a wrap-up of the past parades. We have the JCNP chairman in studio with us. We're going to run to a quick break, and when we get back, we'll dive into the other hard questions we have for him. He ain't going to get off easy this week. We'll be right back.
The Princess Margaret Hospital Blood Bank is in urgent need of blood donations of all types. Blood bank hours of operation are as follows: Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The last donor will be accepted at 4:30 p.m. On Sundays, the blood bank is closed. Identification needed for donation include your NIB card or driver's license. Do not attempt to donate if you are sick or experiencing respiratory symptoms. Do not come to the blood bank in large groups, as we will be accommodating 3 persons at a time. For more information on how you can become a blood donor or instructions on what to do before coming to donate blood, please contact the blood bank at 502-7822.
So you saw Larry take the money off the teacher's desk?
Yes, Mom.
And you told the teacher?
No, Mom.
Why not?
Because Larry wouldn't want to be my friend no more.
Honey, Larry did something wrong and you need to tell an adult. You may feel bad, but it is important that you do the right thing. Nobody has to find out that you told.
Okay.
Small crimes lead to big crimes. If you see a crime, you can call Crime Stoppers. It's safe and easy, and nobody knows who you are. You'll speak directly to someone in Miami or Toronto, Canada. They never ask anything about you. So be brave and do the right thing. We all need to help. Stop the crime before it's our time.
Guess what, Mommy? I feel good because I told somebody about Larry and the teacher gave her money back. So pick up the phone. No one will never call you a snitch.
Call Crime Stoppers Bahamas today at 328-8477 or from the Family Islands, 242-300-8477. It's safe, and the life you save may be your own.
This public service announcement was brought to you by Crime Stoppers in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
From the Junkanoo Library, filed under J for jargon. Every library has its own dictionary, and the Junkanoo Library is no exception. Did you ever stop to think that in Junkanoo we have our own language? Think about it. In Junkanoo, you don't have to get on the ground to roll over. You don't have to cut to begin to band-aid. And you don't need steps for a step down. You can scream without raising your voice. And you can put in lines that have nothing to do with a telephone. Juk is something you do with cowbells, not a knife, and drums on the fire will not burn. And listen, if somebody tells you your costume is stupid, don't get angry, be proud. Now, when they tell you your costume is normal, that means you ain't ready for Bay Boss. Junkanoo jargon, shock talk, just one more example of the creativity of Junkanoos and another subject in the discipline of Junkanology. We are so proud of it.
Arlene, I'm trying to figure out how you could put on band-aid and you ain't get cut. But welcome back. You're tuning in to Junkanoo 242. That's the Junkanoo jargon.
That was cute.
Yeah. The whistle blow and we're all lined up. It's time for our first lap. And folks, in here we have the JCNP chairman in studio with us, and we're doing a wrap-up of the parades, asking some, very potent, pointed questions on how was the parade this season, what was the challenges. And before we were talking about gaps. One of the things that we dealt with on the parade this year was the penalty system and the adjudication of penalties on the parade itself. Chairman, for you and your observation and from some of the feedback that you got from the groups, that new immediate adjudication system, did it work? How did a lot of people feel about it?
I think it did.
It worked to a T, Darren. It worked excellent. There were, as in most cases, there were quite a number of protests that came in. And this year, with the live adjudication, groups were able to go and meet with the IRC live on Bay Street, on the corner of Bay and E Street, and on Shirley Street at the corner of Shirley and Charlotte Street, and have those infractions adjudicated. And so some penalties were levied that should not have been levied, but they were able to be adjudicated, removed from the system immediately, instantaneously, and live in person. And this resulted in us having been the first time in history that after 48 hours, we could have parades deemed official. And so it worked excellent. I think groups responded to it in a positive way, in a good way. And at the end of the result, we are here now at the end of January with 2 official parades. You may still have some persons disappointed in how they perform and how the results were, but for the most part, it was an excellent process, and I am pleased and I am proud of the JCNP and the PMT, the IRC for the execution particularly in year 1 of this process.
I think it went very, very well, actually, because I was able to be a part of the process in a particular for our group. And I think also you're seeing more and more the importance of the use of technology in our parades. And I think that augurs very well for the future of Junkanoo and how we come out of the parades and prepare for another parade.
So Chairman, now between us fellas, I can throw this big rock now. You sit around the table with group representatives for the greater part of the year, and all of the decisions are made by majority vote. Every single entity on the parade is represented around that table. And so when the decisions are made, it is, that it is the will of the majority. How do you respond to a group who comes after the parade when all is supposed to be said and done and goes public and starts to talk about what wasn't right and what needed to be changed? I personally was baffled at the contradiction. I need you to help me to understand, what was your reaction to that? Did I personally miss something?
Well, that's a big rock. I want to hear this answer too.
I have to know. I mean, I was genuinely puzzled. I have to know.
Yeah, I don't think you generally you're and matter of fact, truthfully speaking, Arlene, you're spot on. So no rule or procedure can ever be enacted or come to law as we know it in terms of these parades without a majority of groups voting yay to incorporate whatever rule, procedure, or operating in our parade. At the beginning of every year, we ask the groups which method in regards to our parades would you like to take? Which method of judging that would you like to take? And the majority wins. And so majority of groups said they wanted the public to once again judge the parade. And so I was kind of I'm taken aback of the response of a particular group in that regard. I think the group was confused in what they was trying to communicate to the public. Because they kept referencing the judging system or the scoring system, when in fact there is nothing wrong with the judging system or the scoring system. As I stated earlier, all of these elements performed well. I don't think one group made a protest or challenge that they were in their scores were inaccurate or anything like that. So I think what that group was trying to alert to or show their displeasure with, it was the method of judges that were selected, which they were a part of and all groups are part of. You see, I can't do anything with what a judge sees or what a judge scores. That's not my job. That's not my responsibility. My job and responsibility is to ensure that we have all the mechanisms in place in regards to the system, that we have the technology, that we have the financing necessary to be successful, the human element of it to be successful and to be trained. But what the actual judges judge and how they score is out of us above my pay grade because I am not a judge. And so I was kind of disappointed in the method that they took to go public and display that when I felt that should have been perhaps expressed in a forum of the JCNP and more specifically during the upcoming postmortem. And so I was puzzled by it. But in regards of what I'm hearing from the public is stating that those were some of the most accurately judged parades that we have experienced in quite a long time. Those were very close parades, Ali. And I think people notwithstanding looking at the end result, yes, congratulations when family won both parades. But if you look at the margin of those victories, those were tight parades, and that those judges were saying those parades were basically tight. If you look at the New Year's Day parade, the difference between second and fourth was less than a percentage point. I think the Saxons scored 0.21, Roots scored 0.20, the Valley Boys got 0.30 or something like that. It was insane as how tight those parades were. So I was disappointed in that. But I would remind people, as we all know, Junkanoo is a very emotional thing. We as Junkanoos take this thing serious. We invest a lot of our time, a lot of our resources, our passion in these parades, and so it's another level. And I don't think the average Bahamian who are not a part of our community would understand. Junkanoo can make grown men cry. Not just women.
Make grown men holler.
we will bawl and we will holler. Like the lady left us. And we take this thing serious, and so I understand it as that. I understand the emotional side, the emotional aspect of it. But as I state, I contend that everyone performed as well. The judges did what the judges are entitled to do as judge the parade, based on their assessment, their training, and what they felt was beautiful. So I disagree with the group's assessment of it. I know one of the recommendations was that maybe foreigners judge the parade. Absolutely not. I can't fathom or imagine us having foreigners judging our heritage parades. That will never happen. That will never happen. Especially under my leadership. I think we are Bahamians. We know our culture. We can do this job. And so I think it's going to take more maturity from the groups to just kind of accept the will and to move on. But Junkanoo is an very emotional thing that people don't understand. There isn't great rewards. There isn't any big pot of money at the end of the rainbow. Many of us come out of this in debt. We take in many instances, our personal money is from school fees and Christmas gifts and whatever, our mortgages, our bills, to be able to parade. And so for
Santa
us,
Claus
is love.
Absolutely. Well,
going back to Mr. Chairman, going back to something we discussed earlier, when I think the question came up, I think Arlene asked a question regarding why is it that we take so long in the gate, right? And what people don't understand is somebody has to put on a costume. Sometimes that costume is well over 100 pounds, right? And you can't have them in the road lined up for so long.
Oh yeah.
Before they actually parade. Yeah. Then you have to coordinate that in tandem with getting the back line to come off the fire so that the drums don't get cold, right? So everything really, and you are absolutely right. There is a process to this, and there's a logical process. And unless you are there and understand it, I can see why somebody will ask, why does this take so long? All they got to do is line up. No, we don't just have to line up. This has to be properly coordinated. So Junkanoo is a very unique parade. The Junkanoo parade in itself is very unique.
Yeah, it's a show.
And right, and but not only that, my response, I added one other point to my response. And this, you all don't have to agree with me, and you all think I always go off the deep end. We are trying to fit an almost spiritual experience into the format of a parade and a competition. And it is not always a good fit. Junkanoo is not at its core a parade and a competition. And so there is a cultural memory there. This is me talking. You all could disagree with me as much as you please. There is something there in this experience that rebels against, put your foot here. You gotta be here at this time. That's my personal feeling. That was my first response. And then all of these other things that Dion and Darren are mentioning, I added them as well. But to me, that's the fundamental problem. We are not a parade. We are not a competition at our core. And it tends to show every time we are forced to be a parade, be a competition. That was my initial response.
That is powerful.
Thank you.
That is very powerful.
That was my instinctive response. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And to get back to Dion's point about group participation in the decision-making process, I think it is fair to say, based on my records, that in the past, not even 10 years, in the past 5, 6, 7 years, every major Junkanoo group has won a parade under this system. Check the records.
That is 100% accurate.
Absolutely. So it could not have been the system that was the problem. Now, when we get to the selection of judges, let me tell you where my back goes up. I don't want anybody telling me that nobody, not a single soul, who is a citizen of this country is able to fairly judge a parade. Put aside the whole business. That's another topic, another point that we are talking about. We don't want foreigners judging our parade. The flip side of it is you are telling me that not a single Bahamian possesses the integrity and the honesty to fairly evaluate a competition in our country, even take out the culture. For me, that is an insult. And I have a problem with that. I have a serious problem with that. Don't tell me I can't be fair. Don't tell me I cannot judge. Or the whole country, not a single man in our country. We have to bring in foreigners. Man, don't insult me like that. That's a bad thing. Bad thing.
Amen. Hallelujah. I agree with you on that.
See, this how fighters break out. And so, Chairman, and so overall, you had yourself a good season. Now, what are there any obvious flaws that you will be bringing to the table for consideration to improve or to change for the new year, for the new season?
You're still muted, Dion.
Did we lost to Germany?
Okay. Sorry, I said, Alan, you're correct. There are one or two items that we have to address, but I can't speak to them publicly until that the postmortem was taking place, which will take place on Tuesday upcoming. And so upon my return back to the show, I'll be able to share to you guys when particularly we would like to address.
Beautiful. Let me throw you this other curveball now. Let me ask you this. Do you think the JCNP is interested in or would consider the role of scrap in the parade? I don't have any statistics. I don't know how many scrap groups there were out there, fun groups we call them now. I know, I would imagine that it's not a priority for the JCNP. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I essentially agree, Alan, that we need to utilize the scrap groups particularly as a filler, not only as a filler, but in addition to bringing more entertainment to the parades as well. And that's one of the solutions or one of the actions that we can take that can mitigate against with the quote unquote the perception of a gap to you. So I'm in total agreement of that.
So we have to look at strategies that will encourage more community groups, more neighborhood groups to want to participate in the parades then. Chairman, you're gone again, eh?
What's that, Aline? I lost you.
Yeah, no, I was saying, so now you have to look at strategies then to encourage more community groups and more neighborhood groups to participate.
Okay.
Chairman, did you hear me? I think we lost Chairman.
Repeat that. Sorry, Aline. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I said so we have to look at strategies then to encourage more community groups and more neighborhood groups to participate in the fund division.
Absolutely. We have to look at that. Back that's how it was. That's how we in the tradition. That's how it was. We all come from scrap groups, and the Junkanoo was a community event where the communities come together and celebrate our culture. And we're morphed into this whole wild competitive thing now. But I think we need to get back to encouraging persons in our community to do that. This year past, we had the disability community come up. And I was so proud and happy to see them all of the kids and all of the adults that suffer disability coming out and exercising their culture. So I was very proud of that.
They were participating or they were watching?
Well, they were actually in the parade. They don't get received scores or anything, but they were actually on the parade this year.
Nice. And that's exactly how it should be. Very, 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 very nice. And so, Chairman, moving forward now, Your top priority as when you launch this new season is what?
Well, my priority is to continue to include technology in areas where as possible. I would like to get Alain to a point where the public can start to view scores as they come in live on Bay Street and on television. And so that's a big bet, one of my big bets for us.
Oh, Lord Chairman, hold on. Now, this the wasp nest. We thought we was in the wasp nest before. Hold on now. You explain to me how that would work. Oh, Lord have mercy. Explain to me how that would work, Chairman.
So, we're utilizing full technology and that the scoring system is live time. And so when a judge sends a score, for example, a free dance, those scores are automatically live in time, sent to the tally room and tabulated.
Okay.
The public have the ability where they're viewing home, watching ZNS or Cable 12 stream, or live on Bay Street, where they can go on the JCNP app or website and see as those scores actually come in, as they come in, similar to what you see, for example, on election night, as you see the votes are tabulated and you can see it and it's being updated live time. We want to get to the public that information as soon as possible.
Chairman, I have a serious problem. Fellas, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I have a serious problem with that. Let me tell you.
Why? What's the problem, Alain?
My problem is this. We rushing down the road and your phone buzz and somebody show you the scores, or you got the score on your JCNP tablet or whatever, and you see that you only in second or third place. You have as much a chance of continuing to try to beat the people who are ahead of you, or saying we might as well go over the hill now. I just cannot see. No, I cannot see those scores.
No,
Yeah.
no, but
save the score for New Year's.
No, but just to clarify, the official rankings won't be displayed, and so you'll only see scores as they're being scores as they come in, but not the official ranking.
Yeah, but Chairman, I could write though. I could write.
That's a valid point.
I could jot down the scores and I could keep my own tally. So why should we continue? If we fall in behind, we might as well call this a morning and come back for New Year's. Now that may be far-fetched.
No, man, you gotta dig deep.
Yeah, we have to.
Come with blood in your eyes.
Boy, I think that could be more trouble than it's worth. That's my personal feeling. That's only me talking now. Let's hear how everybody else feels.
Yeah, I've heard the idea before. I think I'm not a fan of it at all. Like Alain said, I think also too it's gonna be ready dealing with a competition-based parade that is highly fierce, and a lot of people are there for competition. And I think it's gonna override the overarch or anything when it has to come to the artistry or anything that's dealing with the parades. I don't think it will be in our best interest to do something like that.
All fair points.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I could see it.
Fellas, belly will break right now. On the parade. you need a pamper stop after that.
Yeah, I don't. I anyhow, it would be interesting to see how the Junkanoo, how the JCNP feels about it. But of course, I know you all will do very thorough discussions, and all perspectives will be given the floor, so that in the final analysis you make the absolute best decision. Yeah, correct. One of the things we also do not want, and I think Darren might have been alluding to this, we want to keep the spirit of Junkanoo. We want to keep the fun, the excitement, the pride. You know, we don't want to focus on the competition, even though we are. We don't want to focus on the competition straight through the parade so that overshadows all of those other important components. So it's something to think about, and I'm sure you all will make the best possible decision when you get to that point.
Absolutely, Ale.
Yeah. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are just about due for our next break. We are going to run to our break, and when we come back, we will continue this fascinating discussion. I am not able to get on Facebook, and so if we have any comments in the chat there, gentlemen, that we need to air, or any questions that anybody has for the chairman, we will take it from there when we come back. We'll be right back.
Oh, what a time.
Here on this radio station is governed by IRCA's Code of Practice for Content Regulation. The Code of Practice covers matters relating to program content that are of concern to the community, such as local content, news, current affairs, and programs for children, advertising, including political advertisements, and the responsibilities associated with broadcasting in the Bahamas. The code also covers aspects such as access services for the hearing and visually impaired, and the procedure for lodging a complaint about anything broadcast by this station. The code is available on the IRCA website at www.ircabahamas.bs. To receive a copy of the code by mail or in person, you may telephone IRCA at 242-393-0234. Family Island dialing is toll-free at 1-242-300-8722, or you may send a request by email to info@ircabahamas.bs.
The Princess Margaret Hospital Blood Bank is in urgent need of blood donations of all types. Blood bank hours of operation are as follows. Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The last donor will be accepted at 4:30 p.m. On Sundays, the blood bank is closed. Identification needed for donation include your NIB card or driver's license. Do not attempt to donate if you are sick or experiencing respiratory symptoms. Do not come to the blood bank in large groups, as we will be accommodating 3 persons at a time. For more information on how you can become a blood donor or instructions on what to do before coming to donate blood, please contact the blood bank at 502-7822.
Examples of excellence. The Junkanoo journey of Dr. Philip Slimy Johnson began in 1960 as a Bella with the great John Chippy Chipman. To the great dismay of his mother and the entire Farm Road community, Philip moved to the Valley Boys in 1964. There his talents flourished, and he became adept at pasting, choreography, and costume construction. And when the Valley Boys introduced the 4 frontline Bella concept, Slimy was one of them, along with Ed McPhee, Michael Grood Curtis, and Richard Rogers. In 1970, the prayers of Doc Slimy's mother were answered, and he returned to Grantstown, this time as a Saxon, to support his friend Wooler. The rest, as they say, is history. He contributed greatly to the growth and development of his group and rose to the position of co-leader. In addition to the group's successes on Bay, Doc Slimy contributed much to making the group a truly community-oriented organization with a commitment to education, nation building, spiritual development, and love for one's neighbors. Dr. Philip Slimy Thompson, never forgotten, this week's posthumous inductee into the Junkanoo 242 Shack of Excellence.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Junkanoo 242. I mean, you use some strong language and
Like
much
what?
to the dismay. Prayers were answered.
And listen, yeah, I had the good sense of getting his story from him.
Wow.
So don't challenge nothing you heard just now.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
we have one
we'll
Facebook.
never get slimy.
We have one Facebook comment from Dwayne is saying, "Why are we beating a dead horse? If there's no competition, there are no Boxing Day and New Year's Day parades. Be real. The majority are not concerned about preserving our culture, but who wins?" What do you guys
Yeah,
say?
I don't understand. It's in the context of what? I don't understand. It is a parade, it is a competition. We will never forget that it is something more. I don't understand where the dead horse reference comes in. What dead horse are we beating? We will not forget or let this country forget that Junkanoo started as resistance to slavery, that it speaks to the strength and spirit and determination to survive of the people of the Bahamas. That is not a dead horse, at least not as long as I'm alive and can talk. And so we will never forget that. If that's what you mean, Dwayne, my love, it's not a dead horse. We will not let it go. Maybe we have not done what we should do with our young people. Maybe that is why they think it's only a parade and a competition, but that's why we on the radio every morning to try to make sure everybody understands the deeper meaning.
Lottie also says the element, if you guys would have the scores live, the element of excitement will be lost at the reading of the scores if we display the scores in real time.
We won't need to read nothing.
So let me ask this question then. This has nothing to do directly with the chairman of the JCNP. So
But he is our guest, so ask him anyhow.
Yeah, no. I guess this is just an open question here. So the People's Love and Unity Rush, is that a contest?
No.
No.
No, that is not a contest.
No.
The
name says it all.
Do groups show up for that?
Yes.
Oh yes. In droves.
In droves. So
Yes.
you would say it's well supported, although it's not a contest or a competition.
I would say so, yes.
Okay, all right. I was just wondering.
Okay. Yeah. And it's grown to be the third largest parade on the calendar in any calendar year. And it's everybody turns out, and even groups that have no sponsorship. Nobody gets sponsorship for an independence parade, but they are out there beautiful and fully regaled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I rest the case with that.
Okay. Okay. So, Chairman, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here, Alan.
Okay. And so, is there anything else about the recent season that you would wish for us to chat about very quickly? Anything you would wish for the public to know? So far, we have concluded that it was a successful season. As with everything else, there were hitches, but they were minor. And overall, you pulled off a beautiful season after a 2-year absence. And so everybody in that parade and all the people on the bleachers, everybody is to be congratulated.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just it, Ali. I'd like to congratulate all of the groups for their participation in the parades. It was a lot of work, a lot of stress. I'd like to thank the PMTPM, the Deputy Grand Marshal, the judges, everyone for a job well done. And I'm just looking forward to finally having the ability to have some consistency. You know, after 2019, as you stated, there were a stoppage. I think we lost a lot of momentum. So I'm grateful this year, and I'm hopeful this year that we won't have any stoppages, or I don't foresee any where we could build off this past previous year to incorporate a lot of positive, continue the trend of incorporating positive growth to enhance the parades. And so I'm hopeful for that. Like I said, it was a very challenging year, but I was very pleased with the results. I was elated and overjoyed to see the groups back on Bay Street performing, celebrating. And I'm just excited about our future. I'm excited about the future of the corporation, and all that is going. I have to run, Alain, but I just want to share my congratulations to the One Family organization for their two straight victories, to the Colors organization for also winning 2 straight. I think they're on a massive tier. Which is a massive feat that I want to congratulate Chris Cecilia and his organization. To the individual winners, Mr. L. John Barrett and Kevin Brand, for the individual categories. So I just want to congratulate all of the winners. We will be having our postmortem on Tuesday, where we review the previous parades and start to formulate our plans for the way forward. And so I'm excited about that. After which, the public can expect a Junkanoo Awards banquet to celebrate not just the winners, but all of our participants for their efforts. And so it was a challenging year. At the end, it was exciting as well too. I also want to thank you guys.
When is the banquet, Mr. Chairman?
What's that?
When is the banquet?
The banquet will be in early March.
Early March? All right, let me go get suit up now.
Lord.
Before you run, thank you so much. You said something very important, and please repeat it. Please give us the names of the individuals who won in their competition. We do not want to leave anybody out. Who are they?
Yeah, so in the category A, winning both parades was the One Family. In the category B, also winning both parades was Colors. In the individual section, Boxing Day, the winner was Kevin Brand. Right?
Oh,
Kevin Brand.
Great.
Kevin Brand for the Boxing Day and for the New Year's Day parade. I think L. John Barrett won that parade.
Beautiful.
Labs, correct.
Beautiful. We congratulate them, and we hope to talk to them later down in the year. They are keeping a beautiful tradition alive, and we are grateful to everybody who participated in the individual division as well. Well done.
Absolutely.
Well done.
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, are you able to say where the banquet is going to be?
Not yet, but
Yeah.
you
You need an escort there or something, Bastian? I mean, what?
Absolutely.
No, but we will be celebrating the 2019-2020 participants as well as the current year 2022 that just went. And so we are aiming to pull off a very successful, a very decent event for the Junkanoos. I think Junkanoos should be treated and celebrated with class and royalty. So we'll be sure to make sure everything is in order to celebrate on our Junkanoos.
Sounds like a plan to me.
So get your outfit ready, Alain.
Yeah, the spotlight ain't gonna be on me. I leave that for Darren and with Bastian to come fully regaled, fully.
Well, you know. I will bring my boy Ronald with me, man.
Ronald got a second place trophy to collect. You do like only you going up on the stage. But Dion, we are so grateful you took the time this morning. Anything you want to say to the country before you we know you have to go. Any parting words?
So lastly, just congratulations to you all, 2 for 2. I think it's very important that we keep the voice of Junkanoo on air year round. Just educating, keeping the community together. And so I want to congratulate you all, what you have been doing over the past many years with this discipline and this show. And so I wish you all the best in this upcoming year. And I look forward to being a part of it and to assisting in a small way as possible as I do with my apprentices to the success of the show. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you, of course, you have an open invitation anytime. We respect and admire the work of the JCNP, and we look forward to the continued partnership as we move through 2023. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, folks, we're going to run to our final break. When we get back, you're going to hear the summary of the show and the news off the shock wall. We'll be right back. You're tuning into Junkanoo 242.
Saturday evenings will never be the same again. A show for young people, made by young people. The Youth Perspective, where we seek to positively display the youth of our nation. This and every Saturday at 8 p.m. on 1540 AM, Power 104.5 FM, the national voice of the Bahamas. What you scared of? Rami, if I tip off the police and somebody find out...
Nobody can find out. Crime Stoppers ain't the police. They just does works with the police.
Same difference.
No, boy. With Crime Stoppers, you're safe. When you call their number, it Mr. Bahamas all together and go directly to Miami or Toronto, Canada. Ain't nobody can know your voice or that you name Bertram or that you live down the alley.
I mean, you realize you IDing me right now?
Boy, I raise no criminal. If you see what going down, call Crime Stoppers. They get no personal info. They just give you a PIN number.
So how you know so much about them?
How you think your uncle get a Fox Hill?
You serious?
If he won't be canned, I able to turn him in.
So uncle know you was a snitch?
Crime Stoppers ain't never gonna tell nobody. And for top info, they just give you cash.
You get paid and all?
You eating good, right? The light's still on, eh?
Rami.
Wait your man up. Stop the crime before it's your time. Huh?
Call 328-TIPS or from the Family Islands 242-300 TIPS.
This public service announcement was brought to you by Crime Stoppers in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
And now for news off the shock wall. Birthday greetings to everyone celebrating at this time. Happy birthday to you and all, and have a blessed new year. Condolences to everybody who are mourning the past of a loved one at this time. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you. And we encourage you to remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yes, go to Junkanoo 242 on YouTube. Subscribe so you can see all of the past episodes, all of the notifications, announcements, and updates that may be happening in the Junkanoo community and in culture itself. Also, as you secure your costumes after the parades, Bastian, I know you are still home in the front room. Please remember, the Bahamas
Junkanoo
Festival, March 4th and 5th, where you have the opportunity to sell your costumes if you choose. More information is forthcoming. Bastian, you could just put yours on and just model through the festival so people can see you. You know, because they don't believe.
I know what Ali are talking about. You know. There's a word for them, Farrington.
What's that word?
And what's the word?
Haters.
The countdown. It is Saturday, January 28th, 2023. We are 47 weeks away from Bay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a very informative morning with the chairman of the JCNP, and we are absolutely honored to have had him here. I just want to say, Dion, I didn't think of this before, but the Bahamas Junkanoo Art and Music Festival is March 4th and 5th. And I know you said the banquet will be, I think you said early in March, so I don't know whether it's a good thing that they might be on the same Saturday or whether you all will work together so that they are not on the same. Right, and because we want to support and encourage everything. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a wonderful meeting. We still have a few minutes to go. If you would like to give us a quick telephone call in New Providence, 325-5403. 4 or 5, and in our family of islands, 1-242-300-8255. And so, gentlemen, what is your take on what the chairman said?
A lot of the stuff is definitely supported by myself. There was a lot of challenges this year. Short start, short notice, but a lot of things got actually done. I like the fact that even though some things, decisions may not have gone in your favor, what you'd like to see, they were able to be dealt with in the JCNP itself. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of debates, a lot of special call meetings, and they were able to,
This is before the parades?
Yes, before the parades. Decisions, the big one, the lead costumes, the step down costumes, the adjudication on the parade route. There was a lot of things. How are we going to do that? And it was good to see that they were ironed out in the room, before, and that was good, a good feeling this year.
So you said something now that jogged my memory. There was a point at which the JCNP had decided to take out the step downs and the lead pieces, right? And then they were reinserted. How did that go?
Somebody brought it to the floor. Somebody reintroduced it to the floor, and they took it to a vote, and the vote changed.
So in terms, I'm talking about actually on the parade, there were no issues. You didn't hear groups screaming that, first of all, before the parade, you didn't hear groups screaming that they didn't, about the expense, number one. And number two, there were no blockages that we could have attributed to those two categories, right?
No, not at all. No.
Okay. So the reintroduction of the lead pieces and the step downs did not have any adverse effect on the parade flow.
No, just on the pockets of the groups.
Okay.
Just on the pockets of the groups. That's remember, that was one of the reasons why a lot of people were saying they were erring to just have them out for that parade, because we were coming off a pandemic. We were coming off short notice. So the monies that most groups, quote unquote, were said to have was very short and limited. And so they didn't want to put them into, it was suggested them not, to do the lead and the step downs, which take up a bulk of the money. But, the vote went in a different swing, so they had to do what they had to do to, make the parades.
Excellent. Yeah, once there were no serious adverse effects, then, but interestingly enough, when you look at the feedback, the general, and this is only what came across my vision. The focus seemed to have been on choreographed girls, dancers, music, and tell me if I'm wrong, almost everything except lead pieces. I haven't heard, you all help me here. I haven't heard any discussion about the lead pieces, who won, who should have won. Help me. Did they factor heavily into the public consciousness? Help me. What did you all see from your vantage point?
I think, quote unquote, I don't think there was any big hoopla about it, but I do think that they do have a place in the parade itself and do telling the story. One of the things I like lead costumes for is that the lead costume piece holds predominantly a lot of fringed pasting. And yes, a lot of the lead pieces.
Which lead costumes are you looking at?
Yep, a lot of them are fringe pasted because, and a lot of them also too don't have as much decorations as you have, and you could check it, and so that's why I predominantly like them. Now, in terms of other reasons, in terms of size and wheels and stuff, I think some adjustments should be made there. But I think, Arlene, you're right, they didn't have any big fanfare this year for them.
Yeah, I was just curious, because I could remember we had that discussion. We had some people on the show talking about the rules and taking them out after the COVID and the hiatus and the challenge with sponsorship and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think one of the recommendations that was coming from the public is, in terms of the JCNP should look forward to, is that having the rules ratified before registration. I think that is something that should be considered this year. So as you register, you know what you're coming into, what the rules is, and instead of doing it the other way as is the format, the customary format.
Yeah, you really have to have everything confirmed before everybody signs off. When you agree to compete, it has to be under rules that will not change. That could seriously affect you and your chances of winning.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Mm-hmm.
There are some other recommendations that were out that I saw on Facebook that were taken into consideration. I think I mentioned it last week, in terms of education, in terms of a lot of people was asking, how is Shirley Street judged? What is judged on Shirley Street? How do you win Shirley Street? Just so a lot more information on the judging process, what is judged, stuff like that. So I'll just prompt them, make sure that we get that information out to the public well in advance, so everybody know what's going on.
Maybe we need to do a show on scoring and judging, because we just don't know. People don't know. I didn't say this in the proud to be Bahamian moment, but the social studies BJC coursework involves a question on Junkanoo, and so there's a lot of information floating around, and people are asking, children need to know certain things, but we probably need to do a whole show on the scoring system and how the judges are not only selected, but how they are assigned to the area that they will be judging. People are not aware that just happens the night of the parade.
Yeah,
people don't aware how that happens.
Yeah, they're randomly selected for what they're going to be judged.
Right.
And then I got a call this week from a former chairman of the JCNP, and he put an interesting on the quote on the table for us to probably have as a show, and I guess we can discuss that offline as well. But one of the things I really want us to sink our teeth into this year and make it perhaps a series is to, as we spoke about it before, about what have we lost and at what cost, and what have we gained. I think that's going to make for a very, very interesting discussion.
Absolutely. I'm writing it down.
Good. It's good. That's a good series that we could run with.
That's an excellent series, and get perspectives from across the Junkanoo spectrum. And
exactly.
Get opinions from a wide cross section of Junkanoos and see how they're thinking.
Totally agree.
And so, fellas, we are approaching our sign-off minute. Closing words. DF, closing words.
Well, we wrapped up the Junkanoo season. Can't wait to hear the postmortem from the JCNP, see what other groups feel, see what...
I'll tell you one thing we have not dealt with that we have to deal with is the whole business of financing. We touched, and we did a glancing reference to the cost of the lead pieces, but we need to talk about financing, period. We need to talk about seed money. We need to talk about people that make money off the parades without contributing back to the parades. We need to talk financing. So put that on the list of things, of topics for the new year.
Okay.
And and in that discussion, we need to have a side discussion as well as about when seed money comes and the value. Because if you get seed money now, the value of that is far greater than if you get it in December or October. Because what you could do with money now and at this point in the year, you don't get the same value late in the year. It costs you more.
Why don't we go into chopper mode and start to look and take the conversation deeper? Why don't we start to look at how the JCNP can fund itself so that it's not always a handful of gimme and a mouthful of much oblige when it comes to the seed money that comes from the government? I think we need to carry this discussion right to the core. How can the JCNP fund itself so that they are distributing the seed money to themselves and not looking anywhere else for anybody to do it? That would be my starting point.
And here's the solution to some of this, right? If we know, this is just a thought. If we know that what does the JCNP give each group? $8 grand or something? What does the JCNP give each group?
It depends on
I
what's
don't
in
know.
the coffers. I think last
So
year
let's
they
just
gave
say-
them 14. The A groups got 14.
Let's just say the JCNP gives each group 14 grand. Why don't we consider the possibility of, instead of each group getting 14 grand, you collect that, put that collectively, order the same supplies everybody use, right? And distribute them evenly.
Okay, you starting this awkward.
Yeah, y'all starting a whole nother show, and the producer tells us to wrap up.
Started. And so, ladies and gentlemen, just when we were ready to start the second show, it's time to go. We do hope that you enjoyed this stimulating conversation this morning. We thank you so much for being in the E-Shack with us, because it is so important, as Dion said, to keep the focus on Junkanoo all year, not to let the old flag fall and push it in the background until the end of the year. And so we are absolutely honored that you join us every Saturday morning in the E-Shack. And next week, we'll have another exciting show for you. But until then, remember now, this is Junkanoo 242. It is all about you, wherever you are in 242 and beyond. And until next week, make sure, especially in this our 50th year of independence, make sure that you let everything that we all do prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are all proud
to be Bahamian.
We'll see you next week. Bye, Ronald.